Greetings, loyal viewers, and welcome back to November in Bikini Bottom 2025 edition. So we're going to be starting off things here a little bit light with some reactions, and we're going to be starting off with a video that I actually did watch for the first time when it was uploaded a couple years ago. It's Ant Dudes ranking every SpongeBob SquarePants video game out there. If I recall correctly, he's specifically ranking the console games, because if he included things like, strictly speaking, like handhelds and old Nick.com Flash games, then let's just say it would not only be a lot longer, but a majority of it would be dominated by those kinds of games. So I'm very interested to see what his picks are. As for me, I may love SpongeBob, but I didn't play a ton of SpongeBob games growing up. I definitely played the more obvious and well-known ones, even a few of the less than stellar ones like Revenge of the Flying Dutchman, unfortunately, as well as Super Sponge on the PS1, unfortunately. So I have a feeling those are going to be on here, but only one way to know for sure. So without further ado, let's get it on.
You know how stupid you look.
Whatever.
No!
Hold on, go back. Oh, actually, you know what? Its expression, I think, perfectly sums up what I just saw. What in the hell was that?
What the fuck? So, for better or for worse,
Yeah,
I have
pretty
played
much.
a lot of SpongeBob video games in my years. Way too many. Which started off as a nice little nostalgia throwback to Battle for Bikini Bottom to hype up the release of the remake, Rehydrated.
Friggin' love Battle for
Spun
Bikini
into
Bottom.
this rabbit hole that I don't think I've recovered from.
I see what you did there. I see what you did there, man.
Who lives in a pineapple under the sea?
Me, because I've been drowning in SpongeBob games since 2020, so that year is traumatic for me for multiple reasons.
Oh, trust
I
me,
have played
2020
a lot
was
of
traumatic
SpongeBob
for a
SquarePants
lot of
video
people.
games over these last couple of years, and hey, the Cosmic Shake is getting me in the mood to give
I
the
friggin'
aquatic
like
one
the
another
Cosmic
go.
Shake so
I was
much.
lucky enough to receive a
It's really
review
good,
code for
and
that
I am
game.
looking
I
forward
plowed
to
through it in
Titans
only a
of the
couple of
Tide after
sittings,
playing
and I had
the
a really
demo.
fun time. By now, you kind of already know if you like it or not, but the question remains, did I like it
I love
more
how they
than
even
Battle
had
for
you turn
Bikini
into
Bottom or
that
its
snail
remake
from the
Rehydrated?
season
Is
1
Battle for
episode.
Bikini Bottom still the king around here? What a tough question. That then led me to remembering just how toxic most of the video games with this IP were.
Oh my god, that face. Creature from the Krusty Krab, yeah. I haven't played that game, mainly because we didn't own a Wii for very long. The Wii was more of a short-term thing for us in the early days of the 7th gen before we finally got an Xbox 360. And like I said, we didn't own this one for that console strictly for that reason, but all I can say is I'm kind of glad I never did play it as a kid, because that thing would have haunted my nightmares for days.
So, including all of the games I played for the retrospective, as well as a few more that I didn't play for that retrospective that I added on after the fact that I've played since then,
Yeah.
we have a total of 37 entries on this list with more than 37 games.
37.
And before anyone calls me out for being a liar, I do say every SpongeBob game, but realistically, it's every with a big old asterisk. So much like the
Yeah.
retrospective, these are SpongeBob exclusive games, so no crossovers like Nickelodeon Kart Racers, and no mobile games are going to be in here.
Yeah, I probably should have included that also. No crossover games like Nickelodeon Kart Racers, which, to be fair, if he were allowed to include that, Nickelodeon Kart Racers would definitely be at the bottom of the list. The first one, anyway, because I did finally... Excuse me. I did finally play the first one a few months ago, because I got it for dirt cheap on sale on Xbox Series, through my Xbox Series X. It's real bad. Like, really bad. And by that point, I had played 2 and 3, and while I definitely don't think those were great, I suddenly have a greater appreciation for those even after playing the first game, because, oh boy.
There's gonna be no, like, weird PC Flash games. Like, it's just not gonna happen. Do you really need my opinion on Doodle Jump SpongeBob edition? We're sticking to consoles,
not
handhelds,
really,
and
no.
some PC games. If we went beyond that, we would be here forever. There would be like 100 games.
I've noticed
and
he's
they would all
got
be bad.
that
It would be a total waste of time.
mobile
Do you really
turn
need me to
console
tell you about Fists of
game.
Foam
I can't
for the
remember what it's
Dig?
called, playing on his Switch there.
I don't even know what the a Dig is.
Yeah, I
But
don't
speaking
either.
of things
Like,
that you may not know,
that's probably
here's
the first
something that
time
you
I'm
should
hearing
know.
about it.
Today's episode is sponsored by
Oh,
Bike.
yeah, sponsorship. Hold on a second. I'm going to go ahead and skip forward to... Okay, I'd say that's good.
These guys for a while,
Oh, yeah,
but
hold on a
now,
second. Jump
oh
ahead.
my god, this frame rate.
Okay, that's a little too far. You know what? We'll leave it at that. I'm really
Surf
sorry,
and
guys.
Skate Road Trip for the DS.
Never
What
played
a-
it.
God, what an unholy war
Not
crime
even
this
the
game turned out to
360
be.
version,
The
but that's
frame
also
rate,
because
oh my
we were
God,
smart
this
enough to
frame rate.
avoid
I
the
wish it was the
Kinect.
video being bad, but no, this is how it is. This is a handheld version of a console game, so right out of the gate, it's expected to be a little bit rougher around the edges than its console counterpart.
Yeah,
but
calling it
this
rough
just
around
straight up
the
feels
edges.
like it's not finished.
Yeah,
And quite
exactly.
frankly,
Calling it
even
rough
if the
around
game
the edges,
did
I
feel
think
like
is
it was properly
underselling it
optimized
based
for the
on
really
at least
powerful
based on what I'm
Nintendo
seeing.
DS.
I'm going based
It
strictly
likely wouldn't
off of
change
that.
anything. It's just a
'Cause-
series of
Oh
mind-numbing
boy,
sports-themed
this
minigames all
doesn't
about
even
racking
look
up points,
good.
and
It looks
that's about
ugly,
it. Again, if we
especially
start
for a
counting
DS
random
game.
mobile games or flash games from the old Nick.com website, then maybe this isn't the worst one out there, but for actual consoles, rock, bottom.
God damn it. But yeah, I agree. Rock, bottom.
Revenge of the Flying Dutchman, GBA.
Okay. Again, I don't remember much about this video. It's been a hot minute, but it makes me wonder where he's placing the console version, because if the GBA version is this low, holy crap. Like, I do think I do vaguely remember it being on somewhere in the bottom rung, the console version, because that's the one that I assume most people are more familiar with. But anyway, what exactly is it about that makes this particular one so bad? You know, aside from that main menu screen, like, holy shit, even for GBA, that's pixelated as shit.
The Game Boy Advance is home to many SpongeBob games, and naturally, they're all side-scrollers. That's about what that console is able to handle. But what makes this one particularly bad is its focus on exploration, while simultaneously being incredibly obnoxious to explore. Gathering these different types of bubbles to handle different types of blocks is a fine enough idea, but when you can only hold one type at a time, and required collectibles need specific types, and you gotta memorize the level designs, filled with no interesting set pieces, and then you have to go back, get this one bubble type to get to this one wall, it's bad. It's just a load of barnacles.
What? I'm sorry. Who thought... I don't know who developed this version. I think it was actually Vicarious Visions. Rest in peace to that studio. It unfortunately got folded into the gaming division of Blizzard Entertainment. Honestly, I feel like that's an even more sad fate than if the company was just straight up shut down. All things considered. But yeah, Vicarious Visions, man. What were you thinking with this? Why did you think that was a good system? Like, that doesn't even sound remotely fun.
But shout out to the coin sound effect being basically the same as the Starbit sound from Mario Galaxy.
Well, given that this
Great.
clearly came out before
Surf and
that,
Skate Road Trip for
that
the
raises
Xbox
the question
360.
on whether or not they
Ever since I initially
deliberately
dismissed this
ripped
game's
that off.
existence in my original retrospective, I have had the, I don't know if pleasure is the right word to use. I've played a little bit of the 360 version, and, yep, don't like it. It's a Kinect game,
yeah,
and
exactly.
quite
What'd
frankly,
you
I'm
expect?
convinced
It's a
there's not a
fucking
single
Kinect
game with
game.
that device that I will ever find
Oh, boy.
good. The controls never feel natural, menu navigation is a pain, and even if normal controls were an option with the controller, it then just boils down to a series of, once again, poorly done sports levels, this time more similar to Tony Hawk Downhill Jam levels, to go for a high score.
Which, from what I've heard, Tony Hawk's Downhill Jam, which was actually developed by Toys for Bob, funnily enough, actually wasn't that bad of a game. So it's not like the concept couldn't work. Especially for a SpongeBob game, because SpongeBob does tend to involve sports every now and then. like surfing being the most obvious one. But oh boy, the fact that they incorporated it with the Kinect killed any chance it had right from the gate.
And that's it. This is really only not at the bottom of the list because on a console now, it looks kind of decent. That's the most praise I'll give it. Sorry, Kinectians.
Yeah.
It took one session of
And it
Surface
doesn't
Gate Road
even-
Trip
and
and
it
Hulk
doesn't even
Hogan's
really
main
even
event to
look
realize
that
that this
good, to be
controller-free
honest.
gaming thing just ain't my thing. Plankton's Robotic Revenge for the DS.
Again,
So
that's
this is
one
of
I've
those
definitely
games I got
heard
a port
of, but
on
I've
nearly
never
every
played.
single console under the sun at the time,
Turns
but
out
while
I
all of those
dodged a
versions,
bullet.
including the 3DS version, are more or less identical, the DS version specifically. Oh no, Spongebob me Bob, what happened? This is just an incredibly slow and mindless top-down
Excuse
shooter
me.
where nothing happens, and you can tell this game was made to meet a quota
Yeah, and
rather
again,
than
even
to
for a DS
actually
game,
make
this
something
doesn't
decent.
even look that
Not to
good.
dismiss the art style either, the game is about as ugly as homemade soup.
If I could, I would totally like put aside a nickel for every time he makes a good old classic pre-movie SpongeBob reference. Like, I think he's already done quite a few of them so far. Like the rock bottom thing, and now ugly as homemade soup. Which, for those that don't remember, that's what Sandy called the giant clam she was fighting in her debut episode early in season 1. I have a feeling there's going to be a lot of that in this episode, but yeah. Plankton's Robotic Revenge, again, haven't played it, heard it's bad, and based on what I've seen, even from just the DS port alone, I'm going to go out on a limb and say, yeah, I'm glad I did not touch this one.
Considering the console versions at least have multiplayer
Like,
potential
even the,
and this one is single player
even the
only,
user interface
it's
for
clear
the
why this
menus is
specific
not
version
really
is
all that
lower on the
pleasing
list.
to look at.
Not like I would be able
Like,
to convince
I don't
friends to play
expect
Plankton's
great,
Robotic Revenge on the
menu
DS anyway.
interfaces, but
Hero
good
Pants. I will give them credit, they did take another stab at these simple
I've noticed he's specifically pointing out the 3DS and Vita versions. I know for a fact this thing did also release on 360 and PS3. At least I think it was also PS3. Now, granted, they're both bad at the end of the day. But I have heard from most people that they do find Hero Pants to be a slight improvement, at least in some respects, compared to Plankton's Robotic Revenge. But either way, never playing it. I mean, why bother when I have the more recent games that I could always play, including Titans of the Tide coming out later this month.
multiplayer SpongeBob
Which I
game
will be
idea
doing a
with this
quick
one,
review
and it
of
is
when
kind of
that
cute at
comes out.
times. They can turn into a superhero as a mechanic, and Sandy turns into a realistic squirrel. That's funny, kinda. I mean,
it
again,
was
is
kind of
meant for
funny when she did
multiplayer,
that
I
in,
understand that, but in order to
in,
convince friends
Sponge Out
or
of Water,
family
which
or enemies
I will
to
stand
play
by
with you,
is not
it's
a
gotta
bad
be at
movie.
least
It's just
kinda
not
fun
a
single player,
great
and this super
movie
slow
movie,
platformer
which is
with
what it
brain
should
dead
have
puzzle
been
solving
first
while
and
the characters
foremost.
just constantly mouth off one-liners. Yeah, no, it's not happening. It's really no surprise that in the SpongeBob timeline, there wouldn't be a single game released on consoles for years after Hero Pants. It couldn't even win the 2016 Kids' Choice Award.
Oh man, you know you messed up bad when a SpongeBob game actually loses at the Kids' Choice Award. That award show likes to freaking suck up the SpongeBob like it thinks it's gonna get any favors out of him. Like, spoiler alert, Kids' Choice Awards, it ain't ever gonna happen.
For favorite video game of the year.
Although now that I look at that, I'm also equally offended that Super Mario Maker and even Minecraft Story Mode were not the official winners, because both of those are really good, especially Super Mario Maker. Super Mario Maker and even and especially its sequel, I should say, are really good.
Year, and that should really tell you something. Underpants Slam for the 3.
Oh my god. You probably won't be surprised to hear that once they brought this over to Series X through the backwards compatibility program, that I got it because it was dirt cheap. Oh my god, it's so bad. It is so It's just a big nothing burger, or a big nothing patty, I should say, because, you know, Krabby Patties and all that, but nah, it's bad. It's really bad.
360. This Xbox Live Arcade title got the backward compatibility treatment.
Yeah,
for some
that's
reason,
what I said.
So I finally got to play it. And dude, this game is such mega bubble bass. I at least thought,
honestly,
looking
I
at
think
screenshots,
that's-
it would be
I
like
think
a
that
proper
descriptor
2D
is even
platformer or
insulting
something
to
that's
bubble
level based,
bass.
but nope. You get thrown into
And
a
I don't even
confined
like bubble
location and you
baths
gotta
that
collect
much.
100 underpants. Just don't die, and that's it.
Yeah,
I thought there'd be
exactly.
something
What
more
the
to this,
hell?
but no, that's that's it. I thought it was going crazy, but that's the entire game. You just
Yeah,
unlock more
like,
stages to
who thought
collect
that
more
was,
underpants in, and that's
who thought
that's
that would be
really the whole
interesting?
game. I'm stunned. Clearly, like the previous games, there was a focus on multiplayer here, but it's just the characters jumping around, picking up shiny things, and avoiding jellyfish. Who's gonna be down for this? And
Evidently
judging
no
by
one
the
else
immediate
was.
rejection of trying to find a game online, clearly the answer is nobody.
Yeah,
Phil
same.
Spencer, why did you allow me to play this on my Series X? I don't understand.
I know this video was only like 2 years ago, give or take. I wish I could already be back at that time when we all had that innocent naivete that Phil Spencer was one of those few CEOs of a company that was actually with us. Oh, what a blissfully ignorant group of people we were back then. Yeah, but no, seriously, Phil Spencer needs to be given the boot for how much he, and especially the higher-ups at Microsoft, have been screwing over its fan base, its loyal customers.
Plankton's Robotic Revenge for console and 3DS. This
Surprised
one does
it
get
took
some extra
it-
points
surprised
for at
it
least
managed to
being
make it
kind
this
of more
far, in all
visually
honesty,
competent.
based on what I've
And
heard
yes,
of
if
it.
you have your friends along and you give them enough money, you can play it multiplayer too. But it doesn't change the fact that this remains a very slow and lifeless shooter with very bland mechanics for literally everything it tries to do. It is painful. The
And I
shooting
know
is
that
boring. The
360
platforming
was
is
several
boring. The level
generations
designs
ago,
and the
but
themes
even
are
by
just
that metric,
so
this game
boring.
doesn't even look that
What was
great.
the creative process with this? The answer was there was none. I'm sure some kids out there had a pleasant nostalgic experience with this, but
Which,
honestly,
I don't wanna
this
take
is
that
overall
away
just a
from them, but
miserable
at the
time
same
trying
time,
to capitalize on the likes
come
of
on. There
Ratchet
had
and
to have
Clank
been
All for
better kid
One,
games for
Disney
them to
Universe.
play.
There was a very specific pocket in time where this game made sense. It was like when all the Lego games were happening. I guess this sort of fits into that mold, but I don't know. It's bad.
Kind of.
This ain't bold and brash. It belongs in the trash. Krabby Quest. There is a whole weird world out there of vintage
Okay, at this point, I think he's going to start largely getting into the PC games, which I'm just going to go ahead and say up front, most of them I've never even touched. Some in which I honestly hadn't even heard of, to be completely honest with you. Because we didn't really have that many console games growing up because of how poor he was. Do you really think we would have very many PC games for that matter? No, we wouldn't. Me and my older brother, while he does still dabble in PC gaming here and there, I'm definitely much more strictly a console gamer. That's just how I've always been personally. So many of these I personally wouldn't know, but based on what I'm seeing of
SpongeBob games that
Krabby
are
Quest
PC
here,
exclusive,
yeah,
and quite
it
frankly,
doesn't look that great.
like none of them are really all that good. It's a world of advanced darkness down there, and I don't recommend jumping in. If you ever saw SpongeBob SquarePants back in the day and thought a derivative block-pushing puzzle game was the key to success, then I don't know what to tell you, but that I don't think that was true. I almost hesitate to call this a game. It's an incredibly simple piece of software for old PCs, and that's about it. But what sets this above the rest is I don't want to die while playing it. And quite frankly, these bottom of the list games really do take a
that
toll
really
on your
should
psyche.
tell you how
So,
bad most
Krabby
of the
Quest,
entries have been
it
up to this
exists.
point.
Night
If something
Nightmare
like that
and
doesn't make
Operation
him want to
Krabby
kill
Patty.
himself.
So one interesting thing about the world of old school PC SpongeBob games is there are a shocking amount of point and click games, dude. These two in particular are the less interesting of the point and click family, but they're still kind of interesting. Movement is very slow,
mean,
the visuals are very boring.
they certainly
there is
look
some variety with like some mini games that pop up from time to
interesting, I
time, but
suppose.
generally these don't really succeed at much,
Oh,
and
boy.
mostly fall into the camp of, well, I had this game as a kid, so listen, all right,
I mean,
you
sad
can't tell
thing
me
is you
a
could
game
say
where you
that
attack
about a
fake
lot of,
Patricks with the
a
real
lot of
Patrick's
PC
tongue
games
is
back
one of the
then.
games of all time. I won't believe you, I'm sorry. Both games do try to do something different when it comes to the atmosphere and
Okay, I actually do like that. They actually make a mini game out of you playing as a giant plankton, like in his dream that we saw in. I can't remember what the name of the episode is called, but it's the one where SpongeBob invades the other characters' dreams, and we see Plankton dreaming himself as a kaiju wrecking Bikini Bottom. I'm glad they kind of made a mini game out of that.
and tone, but honestly, I think it's impossible to say that one is better than the other here. But god Man, shout outs to the CGI cutscenes.
Oh,
These are some of my
yeah,
favorite
that-
3D models of all time. That's where the opening bit comes from. It comes from Operation
Yeah, I was
Krabby
gonna
Patty,
say,
and it is,
like,
God, I love this. Put both of these games in a museum.
Oh
I would
my
take
God.
an entire cartoon that looks like this.
oh god, get it
Boating
off the
Bash for the DS. The driving in this game is admittedly kind of interesting. Instead of being a traditional Mario Kart clone like you would come to expect, it's all done with the touchscreen to aim in the direction that you want to go. Pretty cool. That's not
I
really
mean, that's
something that you
interesting,
see
I
ever,
suppose,
so
but
I like that part.
I'm not sure if
And there's
that
also
well
other
that
aspects of driving
translates
here
into
too that aren't
a
just plain
fun
racing.
game.
Like destruction is an option as well. You just run into things and you kill them dead. That's kind of fun. The ambition certainly doesn't go unappreciated, however, sacrificing the tactile feeling of controlling a car the way every other video game does ever makes this more of a cute little novelty rather than something that's really worth sinking your teeth into. There is a wide gap between the console version and the portable version, and it's pretty clear to see why. The Yellow Avenger. When I last played this game for the retrospective, I said that I didn't really know what this game was all about. Yeah, after returning to it,
Yeah,
I think
I'm
that
not
still
really
applies.
sure what I would
appears to
call
be
this
a
game
traditional
either.
side-scrolling platformer is actually more of a I don't know, man. It's like a never-ending series of fetch quests in the style of a side-scrolling platformer.
So they made an entire game based around something that most people don't typically like doing in most RPGs. Yeah, because that totally sounds like fun.
There is an overarching plot
Why
about helping
not?
Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy and helping out a bunch of other people infected by
hey, it's
dirty
the
bubbles.
dirty bubble.
But so much time is spent just simply running around in
And
circles
all of
around
his
Bikini
dirty
Bottom,
roundness.
accepting and completing quests from random civilians. I don't understand what this game's trying to do. Doesn't matter which of the two handhelds you play the game on, it controls fine enough, but too much time is felt feeling aimless. Yellow Avenger isn't a horrendous experience once things kinda click. It's just difficult to know what the developers are trying to achieve in the first place. The
Fair
Legend of the Lost Spatula.
I've actually
Okay,
seen
so,
some
like,
footage of this.
This game isn't good, but as time
yeah.
passes, I'm finding this Game Boy Color aesthetic a lot more charming, and I think that's why I dare put this game this high on the list. Finally, the world of Bikini Bottom in the palm of your hands. Firmly grasp your Game Boy Color and let's go. It's beautiful. Similar to the Yellow Adventure, this game has a bit of an open world sort
sure,
of vibe
why
as a
not?
side-scrolling platformer,
Like,
but with the platforming and the
I
exploration
know this was
a lot
Game Boy
faster
Color,
paced.
but
And honestly, it's
good
funnier
lord,
given how
this looks-
ugly everything is and
Yeah,
how
very
stupidly
ugly.
high
Like,
SpongeBob
this
jumps.
might be
This
one
game
of
is
the
completely
ugliest games
unhinged,
on the
and I'm
list
all
so
here
far.
for it
Even,
because,
and
like,
again, that's
there's
even
moments
talking
when you'll
about
find
the
a
fact that
treasure
this
chest
is a
and open
Game
it,
Boy
and then it
Color
just
game.
says April Fools. That's it. Go on.
I don't know if I should find that really funny or really stupid.
With your day. Also, all this time has passed, and I still don't know what Mrs. Puff's problem is. She does not look okay.
Yeah, evidently.
The big
she does.
one, Beach Party Cook-Off, sitting here at number 25.
Ha!
I mean, I understand Cooking Mama was popular at the time, so having a SpongeBob-themed cooking game on the same console, it does make sense.
Who the
You
hell
gotta
is
cook a
that,
bunch of
by the
food
way?
in a fast enough
that-
time to have the privilege to
that-
cook for Jack Kahuna Laguna's famous beach party.
Why are we making a game
And
based around
naturally,
a
simple
one-off
touchscreen
character
minigames were the way to
from
go.
a So-So
The most
special?
unfortunate thing about this game is that it's not even all that bad necessarily. Like,
Is
yes,
that-
it is incredibly
Are these
simplistic and never
supposed to
really
be
ramps up in pure
different
difficulty,
plankton?
but it could have
'Cause
been
that's the
so
only thing I
much
could
better
think
if it
of.
wasn't for the fact that each of the episodes drag on for far too long. You get the gist of what it is you need to do within like 10 seconds, but then it goes on for minutes, and then you're just drained by the time you have to do another episode. The combination of the repetition, the simplicity, and just
See,
how
the thing
long
is,
it takes to
making
finish a level results
Cooking
in the
Mama
first
type
game on
with
this list
SpongeBob
that genuinely
honestly
feels
doesn't
like a
sound
missed
too bad of an
opportunity.
idea,
Sorry, Jack
but
Kahuna Laguna,
yeah,
I don't even
that-
care about
this
your dumb,
looks like a very
stupid
sloppy
beach party.
execution of it.
Crusty Cook-Off, extra crusty.
Yeah, that was the game I was mentioning earlier. I am embarrassed to admit that I too bought this when it finally was ported to Xbox. Yeah, I would say as a whole, it's definitely not terrible. I'd especially imagine that a lot of people might find this as an enjoyable time waster on smartphones, which, funnily enough, like a lot of games that get ported over to consoles, it is completely free on the App Store. Granted, at the time I didn't know that, or maybe I had forgotten about it, because like I said before, I did watch this video when it first came out, but it had been a long time since. Either way, I learned about that after the fact, and I was incredibly pissed off. Like, god damn it, I could have just downloaded this thing off my freaking tablet, and I would have, and I probably wouldn't have been as upset about it.
Edition for the Switch. So, I'll be honest, I did immediately turn this game away when I did the retrospective because it's a mobile game ported to the Switch. I just figured that it would be gross and we would move on. All fun, no grind,
that
huh?
Stiff rigged animation for the
but
for
I
the
did
game
want to give the
itself
game a
looks
proper
so
shot, and
rough.
Damn it, I actually kind of like it. The SpongeBob
Also, why is
theming
Sandy
definitely
not in her,
whatever.
in
I'm not
her
even making
full-on
Krabby Patties in this
suit,
one. I'm making
her
pancakes
underwater
for some
suit?
dumb reason.
Like, she
All
has
this
her
window
helmet
dressing
on,
is
but
just the means to
she
pump out
usually
one of
has her
those
suit on as
fast-paced
well.
restaurant simulators like Diner Dash or something. Customers will come in, you gotta manage your different resources in a timely manner to get the most points possible, and you unlock things in between rounds to make things easier. And that process does give you a bit of a serotonin boost. In the context of this list, though,
it's
Beach
not
Party Cook-Off
completely
walked
awful,
so that
but
Krusty Cook-Off
it's
can
not
run.
something
The
you should go
faster
out of your way
pace
to
and
buy
quicker
on
rounds makes this
consoles.
way more digestible than the
Just
game
get
that we
it off
mentioned
the App
previously.
Store.
And yeah, that is technically another bright side. No microtransactions or grinding. I mean, that's nice. Although there's like a section for an in-game shop, but it doesn't seem to work, so good. Creature from the Krusty Krab DS. One of the things with every
There was a
version of
DS
Creature from the
version of
Krusty
this game?
Krab is everything feels like an insane fever dream. You just have to expect these games in particular
I
to
only
be
know about the Wii version.
insane. But what makes this version particularly bad was, of course, because it's a DS game, you don't directly control the characters, they move automatically, and with the touchscreen, you influence their movement instead.
Why was this ever... Like, I'm sure there are some good games out there that utilize that idea, but why was this such a thing for a while? And why is it still sometimes a thing, for that matter? Side-scrollers where the characters move automatically. Like, I don't get it. Like, when I play a game, I would prefer to have, complete control of my character. Like, not only tell him to jump or whatever. Like, I'm sure there's probably a bit more to it than that, but nah, man, this
and they
ain't
move so damn
yeah,
slow.
especially when they move
it's
that
not like a game
slow.
like this can't inherently work, but in this situation, it is such a slog that if you were to experience anything Creature from the Krusty Krab related,
I think I recognize
this
that
is far and
NPC.
away the worst way to do so. And it was developed by Way Forward. I'm telling you, man, this whole thing is a fever dream.
Forward. What were
Super
you thinking?
Sponge, PS1. The very first ever
It
console
took
release
this
for the
long
franchise.
for that thing to appear on the
And
list.
it's a run-of-the-mill 2D platformer.
Yeah,
Listen,
run-of-the-mill
it's not my
is
fault
putting
that these
very
side-scrollers are
mildly.
so close together on this
Even
list,
as
they're
a
all
kid,
very
I
much
didn't
the
like
same.
this game very
But
much.
finally, we have a traditional level-based platformer now. Thank King Neptune. We jumped from having a couple below-average open-world platformers to a below-average level-based one. I'm so thrilled. There's definitely some novelty to this
Again,
looking like
I think even
cursed
calling it
Windows
below
98
average
screensaver,
is
but when you
being
really boil
generous.
it down, at its best, it's an average platformer with the sponge aesthetic, and at its worst, you got mechanics like the reef blower that feel terrible, and I would likely do anything else outside of playing the games below this, of course. Many old cartoon licensed games just feel like standard platformers with the IP assets just splashed all over it.
I guess
During
that's
this era
I
specifically,
guess
there
that's
were
fair.
a bunch of franchises
Like,
that
it
broke away
definitely
from that
isn't the
trend,
worst
specifically
SpongeBob
in the
game
3D
ever, but it's
space,
still
but right here,
bad.
that's what we have right here? Nah, it's not good. Battle for Bikini Bottom, Lights, Camera, Pants, Employee of the Month, and the movie game all for PC.
Okay, you know how I mentioned earlier that I didn't really play hardly any SpongeBob games on PC? I'd say this is the exception, and there's a reason for that, because while me and my brother played the console version whenever we rented it from Blockbuster, back when that was a thing, I actually had a cousin who owned the game, but it was on PC. So I remember one time when we visited their house, I believe it was either during Thanksgiving or on Christmas Eve, because we did that for a long time, and we still do it on the rare occasions we'll go to visit the whole family over at my at my Aunt Kara's house during the holidays. But more to the point, I played it. Yeah, I didn't really think highly of it even back then. And yeah, given that it's on the lower end of the list for the most part, there's a good reason for that.
So, similar to the previous point-and-click PC games, here we have 4 adventures.
And it's not that I'm
play
against point-and-click
exactly
adventure
the same.
games necessarily.
Point-and-clicks
It's
of the
just,
traditional adventure
yeah,
game variety
they just
this time.
aren't as
And
interesting
wouldn't you
or
know
fun
it,
to
these
me as
4, as well as the 2 from the
full-on
previous
3D
entry, all
platformers.
come from Aw Games. Aw, man. These guys kept
That's certainly
super
a
busy
name.
in the early 2000s with all of these SpongeBob games, and honestly, I respect the hustle. But yeah, regarding these 4 games, they are all basically identical. Sure, different plots and locations, of course, but unless I state otherwise, you probably can't tell any specific game apart from this group. But this traditional adventure game genre really suits the style of SpongeBob way more. You got plenty of characters to talk to. When all 4 games are combined,
Yeah.
you have a ton of varied locations
Like-
to explore, and naturally,
Like, the one problem I definitely have with these, visually speaking, is how so often they just use flat 2D assets for the environments, and more often than not, they tend to stick out like a sore thumb.
there are some minigames to spice things up too. It's fine. These are fine experiences. The genre isn't for everybody.
Yeah,
I
like,
kind of
look
think
at
that
all
this
that.
format
Look
can
at
get
all that.
repetitive
Like-
very quickly. But for what the
Like, hold on. I know, from what I could tell, this was not uncommon back in the day, when it came to point-and-click adventure games, back when that genre was still a thing. Like, I know I say that knowing the fact that it still technically is, but it's not as prominent. But, yeah, in these games case, though, like, the way that the 3D models kind of stick out from the 2D environments, or even just flat 2D assets being used in the environments, even when they did go pseudo 3D at times, it just doesn't work as well, in my opinion. Like, it's not awful, but yeah, there's a reason why these games never really left a lasting impression on me.
they are really charming ways to explore Bikini Bottom. And, once again, I
Is
am
that
in
supposed
love
to
with
be,
these CG character
Lou?
models. Oh my god. Tell me you don't love these two.
No.
They are my new favorite thing. In-game Flying Dutchman, though.
Oh, God. Oh, my God. Oh, God. You know what? No. Just
On the other hand,
get off the screen.
Oh,
Get
God.
off the screen.
Obstacle Odyssey 1 and 2. Now this one totally took me off guard since I didn't even touch this one for my retrospective, but I'll be damned. Some old school PC exclusive SpongeBob games that I actually kinda liked. Essentially, this Obstacle Odyssey duo is like a mediocre platformer take on Super Monkey Ball.
Yeah, that's what I'm
I
thinking.
guess. Sets of platforms floating in the sky, you collect
I
some
know that
items and
these
get to the end. There's a
character
time
models
limit.
are supposed
I
to be
mean,
viewed from a
I really don't
distance,
know
but
why
even by
SpongeBob's
that
name is here.
metric,
Quite
they
frankly,
look
you could throw
ugly.
in Doug into this instead, and it would make just as much sense. These may also be the worst SpongeBob
Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
models of
I'm
every
sorry,
single entire
I
life.
should be pausing on those.
And
those,
yes,
those
that is
look
to this
ugly.
game's benefit. It's really
And
symbolic
I'm
of the
saying this
SpongeBob
as
video
someone
game
who played the
franchise that this
Revenge of
series
the
of
Flying
games is
Dutchman.
roughly
Those
halfway
character
up the
models
list,
are
but
ugly, too.
hey man, I found a cute little hidden gem in the process. Criminy Jim, we call that an absolute win.
I guess.
Revenge of the Flying Dutchman on console.
Okay. I'm amazed that he put that game this high on the list at all. Like, again, I wouldn't say it's a completely awful game. In fact, I have a review for that planned later this month, and if I can't get it done by then, maybe going into early next month. But either way, I wouldn't say it's the worst game ever, but it's... There's a reason I'm doing a review for it later this month, is all I'm saying. Like, it was one of the biggest disappointments to me when I was a kid, as someone who was super into SpongeBob back then.
Console. Finally, the first entry on this list that feels like a true 3D platformer. Obviously, as time has gone on, the cracks in this game specifically have started to show in not so glorious fashion. It's
Yeah,
often rough
you
on
don't-
the eyes, mechanics feel very rough.
You don't say.
My game crashed,
You
so I
don't
never
say.
even got around to beating it. That was fun.
Yeah, that
As
was
it stands, though,
unfortunately
this
common
is the
with
best way
the
to experience
PS2
Under the
version.
Sea on this list yet. There is
For
still a
very
novelty
strange
to working
reasons
with
from
this
what I've
game's
been
most
told.
bare basic platformer tropes, like completing missions and collecting shiny things. That's about it. There's not like a whole lot of thought put into the rest of it, but by God, this game
Like,
certainly
the environments,
is
I
a
would
3D
say, don't
platformer.
look too
It's just
awful,
a
but the
generally
character models
unremarkable
just
adventure
look
with
really
way too many
bad.
mindless roaming around quests for
Not
its
the
own
worst
good.
ones,
It results in a
but
game that's
yeah,
oddly eerie
It
and
just
sort of
doesn't look
dreamlike
very
more than a
good.
genuine platformer. Very interesting historically and not the worst game on the planet, but for what's going to come out after this game, yeah, this spot on the list is definitely deserved.
I personally would have put it
All
a
right,
little
you made it
lower
to
at
the
least,
halfway point.
but
Did you expect like all
whatever.
the games so far to be all the bad
It's
ones?
his opinion at the
Of
end of
course
the
you
day.
did. You already know what I'm going through. It's a lot of pain, and you guys like to see me in pain. But stay tuned to the end because I know you want to
sometimes
see where
pain can
Cosmic
be
Shake
fun to
stands up
witness.
compared to everything else, and you may not know. It may catch you off guard. It may be what you totally expected. We won't know until we get there. But just word of advice: what doesn't kill you usually succeeds in the second attempt. So be careful out there. Atlantis SquarePantis for the Game Boy Advance. The most commendable thing about the GBA version of this game was that not only is it a platformer all about buddying up two characters at all times, that's kinda different, but the game also goes out of its way to make sure that all four playable options actually play differently. It leads to a game that actually requires some thought to
Yeah,
figure out which character or
I
set of
always thought it
characters
was
is best to
weird how they
utilize
felt
for the
the need to
puzzles that
make
are in front of you,
games based
and that's
off of
nice. And you
some
know
of their
what? The minigames,
specials at the
there's a bunch
time.
of them.
Like,
They're not
especially
that bad
considering
either.
most of those
It's still
specials
otherwise
were not even
uninteresting with
very
no
good.
discerning set pieces and far too much meandering around for its own good, but you can tell that we're finally getting to the point in this list where things are starting to feel, you know, a little bit more like an actual playable video game. We're making progress here,
Yeah.
folks. Lights, camera, pants for the Game Boy Advance. That kind of rhymed.
Yeah, it kind of does. This is another game, and I'm going more strictly speaking with the console version. Again, it's one of those ones that I've never played, but I have heard a lot about. I kind of want to play the console version though, because I've heard that of all the party games that came out during that time period, this is honestly, outside of the Mario Party games, one of the better ones.
Some of the same praise as the previous game can be applied here as well. We got a platformer with multiple characters to play as, each with their own skills.
Evidently, the
and it
GBA
plays
version
better.
is not a
Hooray.
party game.
However, the platforming is still pretty dull. This is one of those platformers that does, for a fact, guarantee some platforming, but chances are pretty high you'll forget all about the level you just played through as soon as you move on to the next one. Luckily, some of the mini games that pop up in between levels are kind of decent. You got like bouncing volleyballs, there's a pseudo rhythm game,
Hi,
driving,
Man Ray.
just don't crash. Oh god, I'm gonna be sick. It's an unoffensive 1 hour long
The
adventure that
top-down
just
driving
kind of
reminds me of
exists,
that game, but I can't
and
remember what
good,
it is
good
right
for
now.
It. You know, you could do much worse.
Uh,
Atlantis SquarePantis for console. A single-player
Again,
minigame collection
why-
with a story
why
mode. I
was this
typically like when that
special,
happens. I feel like that's
why was
another
this
gameplay
special
style that
worthy
doesn't
of
really
making
guarantee
a
a super
game
fun
around?
experience, but it has the potential, and what's
Like, I
presented
don't-
here is fine.
I don't
mean,
get
the
it.
variety is certainly there. You got tank sections, these little puzzle rooms with both Spongebob and Starman. You got on-rail shooting, rhythm
Spongebob
sections.
and
There's no
Starman.
shortage of things to do here. The problem, though, much like Beach Party Cook-Off, is that each minigame way overstays its welcome. Like that puzzle stage I mentioned before, really fun for a minute, and it took me 20 minutes to finish. No thank you. There's certainly fun to be had
Yeah.
with this one, just for the sake of its absurdity, but
word of
unfortunately,
advice,
its poor pacing ruins any greatness
if
this game would have gotten
something
close to.
is only fun
Battle for
to a
Bikini
certain
Bottom,
point,
GBA. This is an interesting
don't
case of seeing
drag
the
it
same
out.
game engine pop up, but getting a vastly different experience. Despite looking and playing almost exactly like Revenge of the Flying Dutchman from the actual bottom of this list, BFBB here is now a linear platformer, so easy
I don't
points
usually
right
hear
there.
people,
That makes her a better product right
address
off the bat. But
the
the game is
game
also
by
a good
its,
exercise
by its
in
initials.
restraint. Rather than focusing on some random gimmicks to carry the game along, this is a very by-the-books platformer with a bubble mechanic. You also got
Maybe I
Destiny
should
the
do that
Seahorse
more
as a rideable mount. You got these auto-scrolling segments with the invisible boatmobile. Those are things that add variety while still having the game feel like SpongeBob SquarePants. And yes, that is clearly very important because many other games on this list just feel like SpongeBob is slapped into it, but here, by God, there's actual thought.
To be fair, to be a little bit fair, that's something, I feel like that's an argument you could make for most licensed games in general. the fact that a character or a famous IP in general is just kind of slapped onto there to make a quick buck and all that stuff. I mean, hey, when it comes to SpongeBob, it kind of makes sense because, you know, he's still Nickelodeon's biggest IP.
On its own, it's clearly not going to set the world on fire, but in comparison to a lot of the other games on this list, this is a godsend. Breacher from the Krusty Carb on console. Like I said before, when it comes to this title, expect just a total fever dream. Like the version before it, you can expect the same thing here, sometimes frighteningly so, but this time it's in the form of a 3D platformer. Let's go! By this point in the series' history, there had already been an established format of what a good SpongeBob platformer is, but unfortunately, due to a change in developers, this is an adventure where the mechanics feel
I'm assuming that whole
fine
change in
for the
developers,
most part,
among
but
other reasons,
nothing really
is why
stands
this
out
never
as
came to
anything
the 360
particularly
or
good,
PS3.
and the total whiplash from level to level is honestly very jarring. One level you're driving a SpongeBob with a nightmare fuel face, then you're Super Patrick in a stage taking far too long with mind-numbing combat.
Yeah.
And then you got these side-scrolling
All
sections
in all,
as Plankton
it
being
definitely
chased
doesn't
by
look like that bad of a game as a whole.
This is a weird game.
Yeah,
the novelty
it
of
never
not
came to
knowing what's going to
360,
happen next
and
does
I'm a
carry
little
it through
bit
to the end. I will give the
confused
game
by
that because I was definitely enthralled, for
still.
better or for worse. But the lack of focus drives me crazy, and whoever drew that SpongeBob face should be in prison. Boating Bash for the Wii. In terms of the
honestly, I didn't
non-platformers in this
think
franchise,
that face
no
could
idea
have
makes
looked
quite as
even
much
worse
sense as putting
in
this
2D, but
psychopathic
somehow the game
driver who
proved me
cannot get a
wrong.
license to save his life behind the wheel and expecting him to cause nothing but damage and destruction with the...
I don't know what you're saying. That actually makes perfect sense when you think about it, because anytime SpongeBob gets behind the wheel, it's always chaos and mayhem. So honestly, making a Twisted Metal style game based around that is honestly not a bad idea.
A bunch of his friends, and damn it, that makes for a perfect game. This is actually a lot of fun. And it could have been terrible too. That's the crazy thing. This is a Wii exclusive, but miraculously, you do not need to use motion controls to drive.
I don't know why a number of SpongeBob games at that time only came
in either
to
an arena
Nintendo Wii.
or a racetrack. The
Like-
right steps were made to make this
the
a genuinely
PS3
fun
to some
driving
degree,
game.
I could understand why,
am
because the
speckled
PS3 wasn't doing
SpongeBob
so great at
SquarePants
that
Boating
time.
Bash turned
But
out to be
why
like
not bring
a
these to the
childish take on
360 as
Twisted
well?
Metal, which it's an insane comparison, but one that I'm more than happy to make. Actually, not a bad game. Super Sponge for the Game Boy Advance. All right, now hear me out.
I actually didn't know until a while back when I watched Cat Icarus's old video reviewing Super Sponge that this even had a GBA port. Hold on, let's play the footage. Oh, sorry. I accidentally muted it. Sorry about that. But yeah, look at this. It's
List without a doubt.
in many ways
Because
it's
while the game
practically
did release
identical
close
to
the
the
same time as the
PS1
version,
version, should
something
really
about the
tell you
condensed
how
nature of the handheld version
just how
feels a
rushed
lot
this
better to
game
me.
ultimately
There's a reasonable
was,
screen
at
size
least
to
when it
see
came
everything
the
around
console
you. The
version.
lower resolution allows all of the sprites to appear uniform as opposed to whatever lack of consistency was in the console one, and any of the gimmicks that pop up do not interfere with the play control like the Reef Blower did, so it is a much more consistent experience as well. And hey, you got SpongeBob running through Bikini Bottom, killing things with a big karate hand. It's a surprisingly good time.
Which,
It's
at least
stupid,
as far as
but
basic
it's not
combat
terrible.
goes, that
it's only
at
like
least,
45 minutes long too,
that
so
at
I
least
mean,
seems like it would be more satisfying
whatever.
than just
I
throwing
think I'm the only
jellyfish
person out
from
there who's
your
going to give this
jellyfish
game
net.
as much praise as I have, but it's
And
one of the most
the,
consistent
and the,
SpongeBob games to
ammunition for
date,
that's
and I
not
can't believe I'm
infinite,
saying
by
that.
the way.
And for a first-year GBA game, that's all a miracle.
Yeah, I gotta
Creature
give it
from the
props for
Krusty
that.
Krab for the Game Boy Advance.
It's also had a
It's
Game
not
Boy
every day
Advance
the
version as
portable
well.
version of a game is the best version of that title,
You know what?
but
What am I saying?
considering
Of course
how
it
not
did.
good the DS version is, it's crazy that the GBA version is actually really solid. Aesthetically, both handheld versions are clearly identical. However, this is structured more like a traditional platformer with traditional controls. So combining that level of wackiness with a control scheme that doesn't make me want to gouge my eyes out with a Nintendo DS stylus, you know, I had fun. I had fun. The fever dream nature of Creature from the Krusty Krab still
Oh my
leads
God,
to
he's still
mass
making that
confusion
face
as to
even
why
in
you're
the
doing
GBA
things that you're
version.
doing.
Oh my
But
God.
like Super Sponge,
Although
having
it's
a
not
much more
quite
condensed
as
adventure with
terrifying,
simpler
to be honest.
mechanics at least makes this a fun little spectacle of a game, and one that, if you're deep into the SpongeBob video game rabbit hole like I was, it is actually worth checking out. I'll be damned.
I might check it out through emulation
Truth or
at some
Square
point.
for consoles.
Oh my God, yes. I am thankful that this also got the backwards compatibility treatment on Series X, because I actually bought and played it. It's surprisingly decent. Like, it's definitely not as good as Battle for Bikini Bottom, which is fitting I should say that, because this was done by the same developer, Heavy Iron Studios. But yeah, I surprisingly had a good time playing it.
Hot off the heels of Battle for Bikini Bottom and the...
Although, again, it's weird. And this one's even weirder, because at least Atlantis Square Pantis, the video games, at least they seem like they tried to at least some degree to tie into the special aesthetically. This one doesn't even have anything to do with the special it's named after, which, don't get me wrong, I honestly consider that a plus, because, needless to say, like a lot of SpongeBob specials at the time, it was not very good at all. But yeah, like I said, pretty good game. If you can get your if you can get your hands on it, especially like the 360 version, which you can easily get now through the backwards compatibility treatment. Yeah, this is actually a pretty good one.
Movie game Truth or Square is the final title in the video game trilogy created by Heavy Iron Studios, a team that really knew how to inject a lot of love, passion, atmosphere, and fan service into a SpongeBob 3D platformer. And while it's not as fondly remembered as the first two titles, there's still a lot of good here. On this grand adventure to relive memories of SpongeBob's past, you go out to do some of the typical platforming and battling that made the spongy platformers a worthwhile name in the first place. You run through jellyfish fields, you get to take down Robo Squidward, you inflate yourself with water. That's a cursed sight no matter.
It's a bit of a cursed sight, yeah, but I do love that callback to the Culture Shock episode from season 1.
How many times I've seen it. It's overall a very solid time. Nothing is really outstanding though. Also, it's pretty short, and your moveset is a lot more limited than the previous games. You're reduced to just a few little power-ups this time around, and the overall linearity really docks the game a few points. It's a shame, because they had a formula nailed down perfectly before, and here they really diluted it.
Honestly, the linearity doesn't really bother me as much,
but if you played the other big platformers in this franchise, it's still worth giving this game a shot,
short, even
but only under
to,
that context.
The earlier Heavy Iron
Lights,
games.
camera, pants for consoles.
This is
now,
what I was talking
typically,
about
a minigame
earlier.
collection based
Again,
off of a cartoon
haven't played
license
it,
really has no right to be
but
as good as it is. And
it
this is
does
surprisingly
look
okay.
fun.
We've already gone over this with the likes of Atlantis Square Pantis. You would think that a similar game would be just as bad, but no, it's not.
Like
there is a plot that attempts to tie things together, and the cutscenes are surprisingly well done, but
yeah,
who
for
cares?
The
This is simply put a really solid set
well
of 30 minigames that are really well done. Working with a buddy to volley supplies in the Krusty Krab, fishing for beach balls for the highest score. Whatever the hell this is, there's no sort of board game or anything else to really glue this whole thing together besides the story mode, and I feel like going for the Mario Party vibe would have elevated the experience a whole lot more versus just doing minigames back to back to back. But regardless, I'm telling you,
it definitely looks like a much better party game than Crash Bash.
There's so many other multiplayer games on this list that are absolute trash. Get a friend, put on lights, camera, pants, you're gonna have a good time. SpongeBob Squiggle Pants.
Oh man, I really wanted to play
WarioWare
this
clone
one.
that was made
I
for
actually
the
have
U-Draw
heard about
tablet,
this,
a touchpad peripheral for the Wii.
but I never got the
Thank
chance
God
to
this
play
also
it.
got a 3DS port, because
Yeah,
man,
that's the
what
one
a
I'm
way to
thinking of
ensure that your game gets
specifically,
played by like 10 people max. But no matter which console you play this game on, this is a really fun microgame experience that never really reaches the heights of the Wario games, but follows the formula close enough.
I don't think
and
I've
injects
ever
enough
actually
quirkiness with the art
played
style
any
differences and the gameplay styles
micro
that it's
minigame
surprising
type,
that there aren't more games
game
out
like
there in the entire
WarioWare,
gaming
like
industry
WarioWare,
that
for example.
attempted this same format. The
this
biggest
one,
weakness
honestly,
is the
looks
lack
pretty
of
fun.
content. It only takes like maybe a half hour to get through the entire game, which is very unfortunate, and side content is practically non-existent, but just based on its style and the fact that what is here clearly had a lot of love thrown into it,
they even
this definitely
managed to
deserves
get
a
a
spot high
cameo
on
from
this list.
Patchy the Pirate.
Because quite frankly,
that's neat.
dude's big adventure for the U-Draw just ain't cutting it. This is the best game for that stupid tablet. Drawn to Life, SpongeBob SquarePants Edition.
Oh, that's another one
A
I
dream
totally wanted to play.
realized. Drawn to Life has always been an underappreciated franchise for the DS. And to throw that idea into the SpongeBob world with Doodle Bob as the main antagonist,
played,
like,
I honestly,
that's
as an
perfect,
artist myself,
actually. That
have
makes the
always
most
kinda
sense in the
wanted to.
world. That's amazing. While this is another 2D platformer, the platforming isn't
I
really
love
the
how
main
he's
selling
playing
point
as
here.
Sonic.
That's not what Drawn to Life is.
Honestly, with SpongeBob now becoming a playable racer in Sonic Racing Cross Worlds, I can't help imagine Ant Dude's reaction when he saw that, assuming he did see that, and was like, "Holy crap! I think I just predicted the future with this."
It's all about it's fine, it's functional, very standard. There are indeed platforms
I'm still
to jump on,
disappointed that
and
they
if you want to
didn't
get a
get the
little
voice
frisky,
actors
there are
to
even some enemies that you can
play
attack too
SpongeBob
with your
and Patrick,
one button,
but
one attack
sadly,
move.
that's true of
It's,
most of the
oh
DLC
man, it's crazy.
characters in that game.
By definition, this is a platformer. But Drawn to Life's big appeal has always been the customization, being able to draw so many different parts of the world, the platforms, the weapons. It's the only SpongeBob game where you can play as Sonic. That's way past cool. Taking an established formula and attaching an IP to it that actually makes sense is an underutilized concept in the entire industry, so it's worth celebrating whenever that happens. As a platformer, not gonna blow your mind. As an overall experience though, this one is a ton of fun. Doodlebob should have been the antagonist in way more SpongeBob games.
I agree,
a
actually.
Mihoy Minoy in the chat if you agree. The movie game for the Game Boy Advance. This is the best SpongeBob game on this console, and while not perfect, this is really the only game on this handheld that really tries to nail everything, and it actually does a damn good job at it.
Was this
It
number
has the
5
best
or
art
number
style of the
4?
bunch. The
I'll know
platforming,
when I
while
get to
not
the next
challenging,
entry.
still tests your tried and true platforming skills
Again,
with each
never
level, which
played
is
this
way more than you
version,
can
but
say
I
for the
did play
previous
a lot of
entries.
the console
There's no
version.
weird BS gimmicks.
Oh my god, I love how they're homaging that fun little visual gag from the jellyfishing episode from season. There's a lot of season 1 references that I've been noticing a lot throughout this video. Not just from Ant Dude himself, but from the games themselves. Like, I don't know who developed the movie game for Game Boy Advance, but props to them for doing that.
To spice things up just for the sake of it, this is just a genuinely pretty good side-scroller with a buddy-up mechanic, since Sponge and Star are together at all times. The movie game here
think I
is
would have
proof
liked
that
it a
you
little
don't
bit
need to
better if
reinvent
they
the
had
wheel
him
or
do
really
the,
dumb
if
things
he
down
had
just
him,
because it's a licensed property that's trying to
gliding
follow a
with
movie
that,
based on a cartoon to have a success.
with that,
This is a really
I
fun
can't remember what
platformer
it's
that
called,
doesn't
but
do
the thing
anything
he was
crazy,
using
but
to say,
damn
I
it,
think it
it
was,
sticks to a movie's plot,
or maybe
has
it was
good
his
graphics,
pants.
and
I
it's
don't
fun.
remember right now,
You get to
but
platform
still.
on David Hasselhoff's 2-mile-long hairy body, and quite frankly, it's the best thing this franchise has ever done on the Game Boy Advance. It's
I
only
really
missing a
hope that's
chiptune rendition of
hyperbolic.
I'm a Goofy Goober, but other than that, this is a pretty damn good title.
Yeah.
Atlantis SquarePantis
Yeah.
for the DS.
Okay, so that was
honestly,
number
we may be
6.
on a different console now, but a lot of what was just said about the movie game on GBA can be said about this one too. Now we have a 3D side-scroller with a buddy
Honestly,
mechanic
I will
that takes
say,
place
this,
in some
this
surprisingly
looks
detailed
pretty solid
environments for this
for,
console. There are
a
still
DS
some rough
game.
patches when it comes to like the combat, and there is an unfortunate amount of backtracking in otherwise straightforward levels, but the game still succeeds with the simple task of having you run around through underwater environments with fan-favorite characters. So many of these companies tried to really drive that point home in the worst way possible,
always
but
love
this
it
game
when
kept
the
it
games
simple,
find ways to
and that was for the
incorporate
best.
Hans.
And when there are mini games, and I was fearful they were going to be variety just for the sake of it, no. Not only do they provide a fun distraction, but they also don't overstay their welcome, which plagued so many other minigame options in this franchise. Without a doubt, this is the best adaptation of Atlantis SquarePantis there is. It is the perfect example of avoiding the curse of being a jack of all trades and a master of none, while also being fairly ambitious for the console it was developed on, given that we have a decent 3D
I will admit,
platformer
this
here
actually
on a
does
system
look
that didn't really
pretty,
have all too
pretty
many.
ambitious
Damn
for a
good
3D,
stuff. But
not 3DS,
with that said,
DS
it
game.
really should come as no surprise that next up is Truth or Square for the DS.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so like, take what I said about Atlantis SquarePantis and just say it's more refined with this one. This one, I'll be damned. People told me this was going to be the best one, and damn it, you were right. While the partner mechanic in the previous game
Again,
was
I
fine,
personally wouldn't know
maintaining a similar
because I
gameplay
didn't play
loop,
this.
but
I
relying
didn't really
solely
play
on
that many
SpongeBob
DS
and
games,
expanding his moveset
when,
instead
when
provides
we
the
owned
best
one.
DS
The only
SpongeBob
the only
experience
two
there
I
is,
distinctly remember
easily,
playing
no
are
question.
Nintendogs
And considering,
and,
once again, the console did not
Pokemon
have a ton of
Diamond.
3D platformers, it's remarkable that SpongeBob has 2. You do still have some unfavorable gimmicks from time
I
to
think I
time,
did
like
play a
some
little bit
touchscreen
of,
stuff, and even,
Phantom
God
Hourglass
forbid,
now that I
the
think about it,
microphone.
but
But these
that's about all I
worlds
can
that you
think
get to
of.
travel through are just genuinely fun to run around in. They're decently large in size, pretty good looking on the eyes too, let's be honest here. You got multiple
Yeah, I will
collectibles to
admit,
search for,
both this
once
and the
again some
previous
decent
entry
mini games as
honestly
a
do
break
look
between the
pretty solid
platforming
for,
stages, and even some
DS
decent
games.
boss battles. Like, There's so much about these games that should be absolute trash, but that's not the case. This developer knew what they were doing. It blows my mind that the DS version of Truth or Square is the best one. Like, not even by a little bit, by a lot. I'm very impressed. Truth or Square DS, fantastic game. There, I said it. I said the word fantastic. The movie game on...
Yes, yes, yes. God, like, as far as movie tie-in games go, this is easily one of the best ones out there. Like, it is so good. Not perfect, but damn, as a movie tie-in game, it's so good. And funnily enough, unfortunately, me and my brother were one of those people that, because we didn't get to see the SpongeBob movie in theaters, because unfortunately we were just that poor growing up, we did end up renting the SpongeBob movie game, like I mentioned earlier in this video, from Blockbuster. And we did so quite a few times because it was really good. So, yeah, that was about all we knew about the SpongeBob movie, at least in terms of the plot, was from this one, which was not... which, it does follow basic beats of the plot, but it does so in ways you would imagine a movie tie-in game would. But even beyond that, gameplay-wise, it's really fun.
Console. I mean, of course, right? Like the Game Boy Advance version, this adventure does stick to the plot of the movie, of course, but even without that context, this is just an incredibly well-made 3D platformer. Really fun level designs like in these very detailed worlds with great mechanics for both SpongeBob and Patrick. You got plenty of missions and challenges to sink your teeth into. A lot of driving sections that are surprisingly enjoyable. There are also like ability upgrade points. Like, what? The thing that the movie game has that many of the other platformers on this list lacked was pure polish. Yeah, the bosses aren't all that great. You do have to often replay stages to gather enough tokens to progress the story. This isn't a perfect game by any means, but it is definitely an adventure that punches well above its weight class. In a universe where licensed games are more often bad than not, especially since this is a game based on a movie based on a cartoon, that is a...
Yeah, also, I'm just gonna say it also, like, I love the SpongeBob movie, don't get me wrong, and also, make no mistake, the theatrical poster looks fine. Like, there's nothing terrible about it, but I'm gonna be honest with you, the video game box art goes way harder. Like imagine how much more this how much more tickets the movie might have sold, hypothetically speaking, had they just gone with a less condensed version of the box art for the movie tie-in game. Like, it's been a long time since I played it. I don't even know if we own it physically. If we do, we probably own the GameCube version, because that's the version we played the most when we rented it from Blockbuster. But yeah, I really wish the theatrical poster was just a larger and more expanded version of that.
Holy cow, this game is supposed to be terrible. This is a platformer where everything feels meticulously placed to ensure that this is a fun game from start to finish, and a licensed game second. Like, cool, it's based on a movie, whatever, here's a fun platformer. The one thing the GBA version has over this one is there's not as much hairy body platforming, but you know, you take the good with the bad. Though, realistically, we all already know that while this game is really fun in its own little bubble, this is better suited as a companion piece to Battle for Bikini Bottom on...
Okay, two things of note. First, the fact that this is on here leads me to believe that number one, if I'm remembering correctly now, is the Cosmic Shake. But also, yeah, it kind of goes along well with what I was saying earlier, that I kind of wish the movie game also got the rehydrated treatment and was sold as like DLC, as expanded DLC for Battle for Bikini Bottom rehydrated, because imagine how well that would sell, because a lot of people love Battle for Bikini Bottom, and they also, like yours truly, love the movie game. So give that the same treatment, pack it in as like a expanded DLC for Battle for Bikini Bottom rehydrated, and yeah, you probably make a pretty penny off that.
Console as well as its remake rehydrated. I mean, like, yeah, this is the SpongeBob game, right? We wouldn't even be here today acknowledging this franchise's game's existence at all if this one title didn't exist. While this is the foundation that would be used for the movie game that would come.
Yeah, I will admit, as much as I do like Battle for Bikini Bottom and think that Rehydrated is perfectly serviceable as a remaster, I will admit Purple Lamp Studios definitely had a long way to go when it came to animating these characters in ways that are very expressive and all that stuff, because at times during these cutscenes they did look a bit stiff. Like, I know they were basically animating them faithfully to how they were in the original, but in some cases that was definitely not a good decision, if you ask me.
Come out right after it, what Battle for Bikini Bottom specifically did tremendously well was focus on the universe of SpongeBob as a whole, rather than simply being a reference or a series of references to any particular point in the show. The level design, the platforming, the game mechanics, those are definitely the star of the show here, but Bikini Bottom's environments make for a beautiful window dressing. All of that combined is what makes this a timeless classic.
I do like how both
sliding down sand mountains, multiple courses on SpongeBob's tongue, getting to run through Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy's superhero lair under their retirement home. That's awesome.
Tutorials
you get to defend
on how
Sandy's
to
tree
beat
dome from these
certain
robots while desperately clinging for
usually
water.
Anyway.
Damn it, he needs it.
Oh, yeah.
And you don't play as just SpongeBob here. You also have Patrick, who can toss enemies around like they're nothing, and also Sandy with some really cool momentum-based swinging segments. This is a perfect melding of fan service and just flat-out fun platforming. Whether you're playing the original or the remake, these are games that, sure, may not rival some of the best the genre has to offer, but for anybody out there who is a platformer fan, or even remotely a SpongeBob fan, this game is well worth the praise that it gets. If anything, it's kind of annoying that they didn't get the voice actor correct for Mr. Krabs, and that's been weird all this time. They didn't fix that in Rehydrated.
Yeah, I don't get... Like, if you're gonna remake it, the very least you could do is maybe fix the mistake that Heavy Iron Studios made and actually get Clancy Brown to reprise his role. And you know what? I stand by this when I made my quick review of Battle for Bikini Bottom a few years ago. Somehow the voice that this same actor gets for Mermaid Man is even worse.
This flapping robot crisis is making the Krusty Krab lose money like a sinking ship.
Yeah, seriously, what the hell even is that?
That's very annoying, but I've come to terms with it. The Cosmic Shake for consoles and PC.
I called it.
I really have no issues here
saying
saying
look
that
how
the
much
Cosmic
more
Shake is without a doubt the best SpongeBob game yet. Quite frankly, it's a game that shouldn't exist. Rehydrated's positive reception allowed for the creation of essentially a direct sequel to a nearly 20-year-old game. And in many ways, that's what this feels like, an incredibly polished PS2 era platformer with a lot of modern finishes like fantastic lighting and great animated cutscenes. This game is awesome. And yes, I know that we have the movie game as a direct sequel to Battle for Bikini Bottom, but I'm gonna be honest with you, this game feels more like a sequel than that did. Working with the multiverse plot in the 2020s can certainly feel like a cliched trope, but it allows...
I mean, kind of, yeah. This was during a time... don't get me wrong, it's still being done to some degree, but this was during the height of popularity for the multiverse concept. And yeah, needless to say, that's where the Cosmic Shake part of this game comes into play.
You to platform through so many varied worlds and time periods, from the distant past to the Wild West, Halloween, Rock Bottom, along with a bunch of other appropriate costumes. Like, there are so many costumes here with so many references just based on the visuals, and that is so cool.
From what I remember,
and unlike the previous games that are so well loved, here you only play as SpongeBob as opposed to also including Patrick or Sandy. But the moveset has been greatly expanded upon, so you never really need those extra characters, in my opinion. SpongeBob feels great to control. There are so many things Mr. Robert Sponge can pull off in this one, with many challenges there to test your skills and reflexes in ways that even Battle for Bikini Bottom never got close to. There is a healthy level of backtracking through every single level, but that's where some of the cool challenges are. You get things from later on in the game, you go back and hey, there's a new thing to do, and you know what? It's not a total cakewalk. I'm impressed. Some elements of fan service do feel like straight up pandering, like there's the one guy who yells my leg. He's just in there yelling it.
I can't feel my leg anymore.
Oh, Fred, never change, buddy.
But that's awesome. They got Mr. Krabs to sound like Mr. Krabs, and oh my god, I've been waiting so long for this. It sounds like Mr. Krabs. This is awesome.
And don't ye scam your hard-working consultant.
And then sometimes it like will cut to a still of like really
yeah,
ugly
glad that
2D
they,
artwork and
Oh my god. Yeah, and from what I could tell, they seem to be carrying that element over into Titans of the Tide. Again, going off of based on what I've played of the demo. It's not a very long demo, as you might expect, but yeah, I think they're carrying that aspect over. Oh my god. I guess they're just I guess it's like the old saying goes, old habits die hard.
damn it, this is awesome too. From my perspective, as someone who has played like almost every SpongeBob game out there, a lot of what makes Cosmic Shake good is knowing where we came from. This franchise has done so much bad that I almost thought
you could say
maybe
that
it's just because this is like slightly
series,
competent, but no, as a modern platformer,
franchises.
this game really shines. This is like the culmination of all of the highs and lows that got us to this point. We had to go through so much trash in the 20 years since Battle for Bikini Bottom proved that there could be a good game in this universe. It took a long time to get to this point, but I can safely put my name onto the Cosmic Shake being the best SpongeBob game ever made.
Yep.
So far.
Yeah. Let's hope at least as a whole that Titans of the Tide can carry on that torch, because after having played and 100%ed the Cosmic Shake on launch day, I might add, yeah, I'm very much so looking forward to that, especially after playing the demo. So that was the video. Yeah, as a whole, like I said, there were definitely plenty of entries on that list that I hadn't even played, but I, at least in some cases, have heard of, and there were definitely some, like the Drawn to Life and Squibble Pants games that I do want to play. Oh, and Lights, Camera, Pants. And others like the point-and-click PC games that I just am not interested in playing any of those, especially after I dabbled a bit years ago with the SpongeBob movie game on PC. Like, and again, it's not that I'm against point-and-click adventure games. They just, even for that genre, they just were not that interesting to me. So there's that. All in all, this was definitely a very interesting video to watch. He's done quite a few other SpongeBob videos, both before and after, so I'll definitely be checking those out going forward. Maybe for this month, or possibly saving those for next year's November in Bikini Bottom. Because I do want to keep doing these, because I do genuinely enjoy celebrating a prominent part of my childhood. It's just with life constantly getting in the way, I just can't always consistently keep making content for it on YouTube. That being said, I will at the very least maybe try doing other things like status updates and maybe even short clips to compensate for that. We'll see what happens, but yeah, that's about all the time we got. If you liked the video, go ahead and comment, like, and or subscribe. And if you have any other suggestions, leave some down in the comment section below. And as always, I'm King Gargantuas, and take care.